What's the biggest thing that causes the greatest amount of paranoia in MCOC? That's right, AI. Of course, there's other things like inputs, but AI is definitely amongst those things. So it's been a weird week, hasn't it? And you know, this old man on the screen is a meme for something, but that particular something is about raids. Now I'm going to be talking about raids tomorrow in a special kind of dissection video similar to this, but we're definitely going to be going over patterns of, not patterns of play, but patterns of reaction from the AI. When you're playing Marvel Contest of Champions, it's very easy to go, right, well, everything seems normal. But what is normal in MCOC over the years has just gone a bit kind of bizarre. And obviously with this week with a new mode means for new interactions with champions. And of course, when they've got certain nodes, they can be ramped up to the 9. I mean, look, here's a very good example at the moment. Alliance raids. Now, as I said, this video isn't about Alliance raids, but it's definitely about the fact of, well, AI, how it functions, how it moves, how it interacts and stuff like that. When you've got certain nodes and certain champions, the behavior, of course, is going to be different. You know, if you've got something that's, what is it? It's not Optimist. Oscillate? I think it's Oscillate. When a champion goes from being quite defensive to quite, you know, proactive and attacky. Of course, in this particular scenario, this particular Maestro, which is really, really annoying, has things like Special Bias SP1, Special Bias SP2. Now, what's the issue with that? Well, if the champion's only getting up to a bar of power and then throwing an SP1, it's not getting up to an SP2, is it? That's just going to mean that the champion's behaviour is going to be forcibly SP1-ish, which of course isn't very helpful for this scenario because essentially Kabam have just dictated how this champion is going to play out. And of course there's other things to that. There could be issues with animations. One thing that I've been talking to my alliance mates about recently, when we were at this moment, we had, I'd say, worked well against Kang fight and Thanos fight. I just kind of like just sorted out my hair, but look at that. It's got a little kind of like this weird kind of like tuft bit sticking up there. Anyway, right, let's sort that out. This is not about my tuft. But of course, look, it's not good. From an interaction standpoint, there's a lot of things that aren't very good about it. Especially if it's like an AI animation issue. Something that I've shared with Kabam is I feel that seems to be somewhat of an issue with an input between the second and third beam of the SP1 of the champion. But you kind of feel at times you're locked in, or you could be like locked in a movement. Like the kind of example I want to present is that this game isn't very good with inputs, especially when there's 3 in quick succession. What am I talking about? Well, look, not everybody has this issue, and I don't know if this is one of these situations people go, skill issue. But definitely there's kind of like good evidence to kind of like showcase that what I'm saying has some merit to it. I mean, look, here's a good example. I'm going to put this on loop because I want to break this down to a point of, look, even though this player is saying about like, it seems to be hitbox issue or there's kind of reach on the kind of like, the ball and chain here with RichTheMan. And again, people may say skill issue. One thing that I do want to point out is that the input for, you know, swiping, which would be like if you're doing 3 swipes very quickly, it always seems like the third one just doesn't come in. Or in this particular example, it looks like there's kind of like, there's 2. But here's the thing, but prior to that, you know, is there already a dex up for it? Yeah, there's already a dex up for it. So somebody, this particular player is already dexed prior to it. So I really would have liked seen the full kind of like footage because it could be a case that that's 2 swipes, but the person has done 3 swipes. And as I said, the example of this is that the game's not very good at reading like 3 swipes in very quick succession. I mean, give it a go. Like, see if that happens at times in certain scenarios. Like you're going swipe, and swipe, which you would have to do in the Massacre Maestro SP1, which is like swipe, break, swipe. Like sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't when it comes to those particular animations versus inputs type thing. Oh, but of course, you know, there's more to that than meets the eye. I'm in this video, I'm probably only going to cover a few things of kind of like, you know, coverage. But everyone's experience as to how they find inputs and AI in general is important. If the AI is bad, your reactions differ. So that's the thing. What is normality? And this is the thing about I said about Paranoia, is that whatever normality is with the game, with the AI or inputs, you're constantly changing your pattern of interaction with that. If the AI is more aggressive or less aggressive, your type of play against it is going to differ. The same way that you're like, if the enemy is being passive and not moving out to you, then of course you're going to react in more of a passive way. Or you're going to try and find openings and windows where you don't or haven't normally played in that particular regard. And what I just said there may be in complete overload to anybody, but I think people get the gist of what I'm trying to say, is that if the AI changes, you have to always adapt. And if the input system changes, you will always have to adapt. And I don't know if Kabam like that type of behavior from us as a player base, but I mean, at times it's not very helpful at times. But anyway, moving on and kind of like going into the subject. Of course, this week Kabam did say that, and in this one, we recently made an adjustment to the Defender AI that aimed to reduce the number of re-parries that the AI was carrying out. And while that was successful, it also made the defenders less likely to throw their special attacks, which was not a good experience for summoners. Of course, it's, you know, you kind of look at the way that the Maestro fight is set up, and like that's a champion that's got to throw specials because of the bias with it. We've undone a fix to re-parry situation, which should revert the AI to throwing their specials attacks more often, but this does mean that they may re-parry attackers that use a 2-hit medium attack again. We will be aiming to fix this behavior again in the future when we are confident it will not have a knock-on effect in other areas of the game. And that's weird, isn't it? Because I always thought that AI was kind of like consistent throughout. You know, I always think that when we question stuff when it came to Kabam on subjects, it's like, well, look, here's the thing. The AI across the board is not the same. The same AI that you get at, like, Act 1 is not the same that you're getting in Necropolis. And that's, you know, that's kind of odd, isn't it? It's not helpful, I think, for Kabam because it's, like, consistency. And then again, it's like, for us, we are always constantly having to evolve the way we play. And again, as I've said, like, the paranoia kind of like comes in as to like, look, this is just meant to be a game you're meant to have for fun, but it's like, it's not. This game is a constantly adaptive skill-based game that sadly takes up a lot of people's time and energy, and at times it is very stressful. But we continue, and it's not a case of being doom and gloom. I think we all still love the game. We just, you know, would like to always find out. It's like being in a bad relationship, isn't it? You always want to know where you stand. Is it over? You know, what are we doing? Are we moving on? We're stuck in a bad romance, I think, when it comes to AI, Kabam, and kind of like the functionality of stuff. I think that's a very good analogy to describe it. There was some further interesting kind of like dialogue on the subject. You know, saw this thread that I thought was kind of good and kind of was perfect for this video, saying AI lunging further with SPs and heavies, and of course that may play into stuff with that one. I don't know if anyone has noticed this, but sometimes when I'm out of range of a heavy or SP, the AI lunges farther to make contact. I actually think that's the case. If they have multiple hit animations, i.e. I'm in a safe distance from a heavy and it's more than one hit animation, the second and third will lunge farther to make contact. The same for specials. The distance increase from normal can be anywhere between 50 to 100%. And that's maybe what we saw in that little bit of footage. There's other champions as well that play into that. Tigra is one of them. Yeah, Tiger off the... I can't think of any... There's going to be tons, but you know, Tiger off that. Fighting Luke Cage was one of the far left side. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. That happened to me there. Lunging out. Obviously, Kabam Mike said, without seeing exactly what you're talking about, I can't say for sure if this is intended or not, but it's the same topic conversation we've had over the years coming up again. I can tell you that I can tell you if that is indeed intentional and works for both attackers as well as defenders. Every attack animation has a range that the animation will cover. If the opponent is within the range, the character will move to make contact. If they are not within the range, they do not move. This most easily noticed with Luke Cage. It's an intentional and necessary part of the game and works for you as well. Yes and no, because I always think that the AI I say think because Kabam will say no, thinking, you can't put think in that sentence. But I would say more commonly it's in Kabam's favour, it's in the AI's favour. Ipso facto, why there's so many deaths in Necropolis. Yes, the timeout side of things, we get that with the Yanks. But there's of course with endgame content, things aren't geared favourably for the player. And I mean, following a thread which I think, you know, fits in quite nicely into our discussion in this video, where the thread's called Kabam, seriously, what's going on with AI? And yeah, go and check out a lot of this stuff. It's in the description. So as this player PT says, why is AI doing that block hold, no block, block again, no block, block again, 10 times in 1 second? Why is AI never throwing SP1s too, but immediately the moment it reaches red and SP3, then of course it's game over. I think we talked about this on the MCN, but there's some more stuff to it, and Kabam have, you know, since responded to some stuff which I think is going to be helpful. I've also noticed that especially after the December update, AI began to hold block in a corner, making the player dash forward and then counter with a light attack. Yeah, frustrating. I actually think that there was mention of the AI refactor that went in. I can't remember exactly when it went in, but somebody mentioned about this. I think it was like MCOC leaks, kind of like mentioned that in actuality it went in. It went in January. I need to find that thread. I think it's going to be something I want to discuss next week in a video about. I think that Kabam have kind of suppressed the leakers of information. But in any case, let's jump to like what Kabam have said in kind of response to stuff like this. Because as I said, like it's important to dissect some of the stuff. I mean, this player mentioned about Maestro being, you know, and his frustrations that we mentioned at the start of this video. So yeah, there's that. But Kabam Mike did say, basically pointing to like, you know, bug things, bug templates and things like that. Also, while I'm here, I make sure we clarify one thing: schedule maintenance are not at all what you think they were. They were to do work that needed to change, needed the game to be down. They physically could not affect AI. That work no longer requires the game to be down and can be done at any time. So that gives you a bit of an answer to that. But doesn't anyone find it weird how Kabam only fixes things that benefits the players? I think it's time somebody put some numbers to this, and if anybody ever wants to say this again, I want them to go through every single bug fix section of every single patch notes document and count the number of beneficial bugs fixed versus harmful bugs. I'm more than 100% sure you'll find you're extremely wrong. And Kabam do just, you know, we have noticed in the past when Kabam, I have mentioned it when there's been some good things that I've done. But the problem that we have is, as much as I think it's very important to, you know, sing from the hilltops, Kabam do good. The problem is there's fundamental elements of this game, like it's a fighting game, and when the swiping and the AI, the defender, are not working correctly, those are the two biggest problems with the game. And if those two things aren't smooth, aren't buttery, don't have a biscuit base, then what have you got? You've just got like I don't know, like a gacha game where, or something where you're just set up to fail, essentially. But look, what's everyone's thoughts on AI and the current state of it? It definitely looks like there are issues that Kabam are looking to resolve, which of course we've kind of like had a look at here. But it's the full fundamentals of the game. It's just weird, isn't it? Makes doing stuff in game, it kind of triggers your paranoia. Is it me? Is this fun? Is this not fun? Is this more skill based than maybe I would have liked? What of new players? How do new players feel about the extent of the game? Do new players get to a certain point and go, "Do you know what, I'm dying too many times. Is this the game? Is this how it should be?" So I think there's always a lot of questions, and of course, like, you know, from Kabam's perspective, like new startups, new people kind of picking up the game for the first time, where do they stop? When's the point where they don't like it? You know, we can see people doing those. I got the Paragon in X amount of days, but this is veteran players replaying the game. I'm not seeing this from new players. I'd love to see a brand new player do exactly what veteran players have done, and talk about the quality of the game. But, you know, in any case, What's everyone's thoughts? Put it in the comment section. Check out some other content located on the screen. And I'll see you all soon. Much love and goodbye.